they're going to be my dark horse this year because they are moving.
I dig it. Yeah. It's like they're moving. I dig it a lot. Actually, that's actually a little spicy. I dig it.
All right, Meg, the regular season is officially done in the WNBA. Came down to the literal wire. We had to wait for the last game to get the final seeding for the playoffs, but we are officially underway. I feel like it's going to fly by,
It
and
is.
we are like going to blink and suddenly we're going to be in the finals. So we are going to bask in this as much as we can before the playoffs officially start on Sunday the 14th. We have 4 matchups. Liberty are playing the Mercury, the Valkyries are playing the Lynx, the Fever will be playing the Dream, and then the Storm are playing the Aces. So from these 4 matchups, Meg, which one are you most just excited to watch?
You're gonna make me pick one.
Just one.
Okay, I'm actually gonna break the rules. I'm gonna pick 2. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
But okay, so the first one is Liberty Phoenix. So Liberty and Mercury. I think mainly because you've got AT, who has quite literally been the engine, as her nickname implies, for Phoenix. And then you have the Liberty, who they're still the champs, but they've been very beat up injury wise this season, and they have not looked quite as good as they did last season. So I'm very, very curious to see what comes out of that matchup, who actually like escapes out of that matchup, because whatever is waiting on the other side for you, like whether it's the Lynx or whether it's the Valkyries, like either way, you've got 2 teams that play ridiculous defense, can also shoot the ball from the perimeter. Like there's not fun waiting on the other side. So sorry to you. And then on the other one that I have is actually the Aces and Storm matchup. It is a rematch from last year's playoffs, and I'd be very curious to see if the Aces can continue their win streak. Like would they essentially like sweep that series? Would they do that? Or would the Storm actually upset them? That's another possibility. The Storm have given the Aces some grief before, and I think the Storm, I would hope that they still have last year's memory of losing to the Aces in the playoffs. The Storm, I think, are a much better team than their record indicates, but they also have not played, I think, in my opinion, up to the standard that they would like for as long as they would like throughout the season. So those are my 2 like matchups where I'm like, woo, we could get really fun here. What about you?
I agree. The Liberty Mercury, I think, is going to be the most intense matchup because I think those close seeds, that 4 or 5 seed is always going to be good because they're almost on like very equal playing fields. So I feel like that was going to be good. But I'm actually really excited to see the Valkyries perform in their playoff debut. Now I'm very interested to see how that plays out because they're obviously going up against the Lynx, but they were just playing them. So, this is best out of 3 games in the first round. I don't know. I'm very interested to see how it's going to come out. I don't know if they're going to win that series, but I think that matchup is going to be incredibly interesting to watch because it is their first year in the league and they're in the playoffs. Granted, they're the 8 seed, but I think that is incredibly impressive. And I'm just very excited to see how, Natalie Nakase and the rest of this team is able to perform in the playoffs for the first time. So I'm just excited to see the way they play, especially going up against a 1 seed like the Lynx, a powerhouse right now. But they also it's not like that's a distant memory. They were literally just playing them. So it's like almost just a continuation of it. You're just in the playoffs now. There's 8 teams in this playoffs. Who do you think is going to be the dark horse that people are going to underestimate a little bit going into this?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'd say the Atlanta Dream. Under Carl Smesko, they've had a top-ranked defense all season. It's been, I think, somewhere as low as 4, but usually as high as 2. They are a top 3-point shooting team in terms of made 3-pointers. You got Ryan Howard, who has been on a tear recently. Alisha Gray in the MVP conversation. Bree Jones, another good player, underrated defender, super consistent, impeccable footwork. I could keep going like down the line for Atlanta, but I think one thing that sticks out in my mind, I watched the Atlanta Dream play the Minnesota Lynx a couple of weeks ago, and that game was super intense, bucket for bucket, down to the last like possession, and Atlanta walked away with that game. And in my opinion, that wasn't the only game that they had walked away with against the Lynx. They also did it when in Minnesota when Nafisa Collier was playing as well. And they could have won the third matchup against the Lynx, but they started very slow in that matchup. So they had some ground to make up. So they ran out of steam. And that was an overtime matchup too. So my point being is that Atlanta can hang with those teams that are in the upper echelon with them because they're there too as well. This is not me dismissing them, I'm just putting it out there. But like I think people might be underestimating what Atlanta could potentially do. What I think is interesting for Atlanta, if you get past the Indiana Fever in the first round, what's potentially waiting for you is either the Seattle Storm, which you have thoroughly, had a good season against. I think they've only dropped one game in the season series to the Storm. Or you have the Las Vegas Aces, who you've dropped the entire season series to. The Aces won that 3-0. Do you finally get exhausted? Do you finally get tired of the Aces essentially beating you? I think keep your eyes on the Atlanta Dream and see what they do in the playoffs.
100%. And you wanna know what? I had a feeling that you were gonna say that, so I made sure not to pick the Dream as my dark
You
horse.
we would have agreed.
I do think that the Dream is a team that is going to dominate in the playoffs this year, and we'll talk a little bit more about the rest of the playoffs as we move forward in a little bit. But my dark horse, I'm gonna go with the Mercury here, and that's going up
Mm.
against the Liberty. And you know me, Meg, I'm a New York girl. I love the Liberty. I love to see them succeed. Saw the championship last year, but I have a feeling with the injuries and they've slowed down a little bit. The Mercury's gonna win this upcoming series, and then they're gonna just keep pushing forward. And they did such a good job in the offseason with Alyssa Thomas, Satu Sablé, getting them onto the roster and bouncing back from losing somebody like Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner. Like I really wasn't having them on my radar as much, especially losing those players. So the fact that they're here and they're in the playoffs and they are a lot more powerful than I think people are realizing, they're gonna be my dark horse this year because they are
I
moving
dig
fast.
it. Yeah. It's like they're moving. They're moving. I dig it. I dig it a lot. That's spicy. I dig it. I dig it.
We're gonna go a little bit more specific here and jump in on a singular player. I want you to tell me who you think is going to be a big game changer for their team in the playoffs, just specifically one player.
That's tough. I'll actually stay with the Mercury. I'll go Kalia Copper.
Ooh.
I have her as a possible X factor. Now, Ka has been hurt this season, so that hasn't you haven't seen her at her best. But Kalia Copper, in my opinion, is one of the best two-way players in the entire league when healthy. So if Ka is good to go and can continue what she does best, which is I mean, backbreaking threes, timely floaters. She's also an insane defender, and she has the quickest first step, in my opinion, in the entire league. She is so hard to guard. Like her and Kelsey Mitchell they are like they're a defender's worst nightmare because you blink and they are gone to the bucket. And that is Kalia Copper. She does a really good job of using her size and her speed to her advantage. Moving up and through the paint, manipulating the defense. Like she does really good. And watch her backdoor cuts as well. Like when I say Kalia Copper, if you were able to get Ka at her peak in these playoffs, I'm with you. Yes, the Mercury could potentially make a deep run. They could maybe even win the whole daggone thing. Like that's how much I think that Kalia Copper has to be able to pull that extra grit out of her bag. And remember, Kaz also battle tested. She has a championship and she was the finals MVP in that championship run. So I really, really want people to think about Kalia Copper being a potential player who could have a really good playoffs.
I love that. I love that a lot. That's amazing. I feel like I need to go a little bit more towards a team that we are kinda not forgetting about, but I feel like people are really not focusing in on the Fever too much right now
Mm.
because of the fact they have so many injuries, and I think that's why I'm gonna say Lexi Hull is going to do so much for the Fever. Whether or not they make a run or not in this playoffs, I think that while they have so many talented people on their team, like, they are struggling. They are just literally groveling towards the finish line right now. So I think that Lexi is going to continue to be the player that she has been since Sophie went down, and she's going to be a game changer in the fact that she's going to do everything she can for this team because it's unfortunate because how incredible would it be right now to see Sophie Cunningham and Sid Colson and Caitlin Clark all in the playoffs right now, but we don't
Yes.
get that. And what we're gonna get right now is Lexi Hull, and I think that she's going to, again, leave it all out on the court and do everything that she can for the Indiana Fever. We are just gonna go straight towards the end, and before the playoffs even start, Meg, because I know you have that sixth sense for basketball, who do you think is going to be the last 2 teams going head to head in the WNBA finals?
Oh my gosh. All right. Again, this is
State your ground,
maybe
Meg, state your
listen,
ground.
maybe I knew before I actually knew, but I had the Aces in the WNBA finals before the season. They were my championship team pick, which sounds bananas when you think about it. But again, it was a really trash take back then. It was a little spicy, I'm not gonna lie. It was a trash take back then, but it looks less trashy now
It sure
considering
does.
that we're here. I feel like I have to stick to my prediction. So I'm gonna go Lynx and Aces in the finals, which really, really I don't know if it will happen. Obviously, nobody knows, but like those two teams feel primed to potentially meet in the finals. And if I'm picking those two teams,
I mean, Meg,
give me when I tell you I've been stressed for weeks about stuff like this. Um, give me Lynx in 7.
oh, love.
Yeah, I don't think the Aces go down without a fight. And here's the only reason I say Lynx in 7. It's not because I don't believe in the Aces, because I think that they're playing their best basketball, like I mentioned right now. Where this gets very interesting is the Lynx's bench.
Mm,
They have a top ranked bench. They average, don't quote me, but it's about 24 points per matchup. You have Natisha Heidemann, who was leading that bench unit, who has been spectacular. She's a front runner for sixth player of the year.
mhm.
That to me will be the difference. And where last year they needed their bench to step up when New York's bench was the best in the league, I think it will be the Lynx's bench that will step up this season.
I will say what I know you wanna say, Meg, for my prediction, which I think it's gonna be Link's Dream.
Woo!
I genuinely
Woo!
think that the Dream is going to come out swinging hard in every single, matchup that they have, and I think that they're gonna make it there. However, the Lynx, like you said, incredible depth, and I think that is going to be an insane part of it. Not to mention, they want this. They were there last year, and the Liberty took that from them. I think the Lynx want this more than anyone. I mean, they secured that 1 seed, it feels like, God,
Like
years
2 months
ago.
ago.
Literally, like, they were like, "We're coming, and we are gonna be number 1, and we're winning it all." So I do think that the Dream is going to make an incredible run to the finals, and the Aces are gonna get upset because I do think that the Aces want this too, and Asia Wilson wants it bad, but the Lynx want it the most, so I agree.